What's up, guys? It's John with National Sports Entertainment, and I wanted to go into our pick for tonight. It's going to be predominantly NBA. We have 4 college plays like yesterday, and I wanted to really just quickly recap again yesterday. Mostly because this epitomizes the system and why the system works. So yesterday we went 3-5, not a great record. Meanwhile, we did net for the day. Of course, for me, I always do my nets when a sequence closes. So I don't count a net negative until a 3-legger loses, and then it's -7, like when the Jets did not go over. But anyway, my point is, obviously with the leg 2 wins, each of them is a 2-unit profit. It's a 1-unit net, of course, but if someone just played the plays yesterday, it's 6 units for the 3 leg 2 wins, -5 units for the 5 leg 1 losses, which is actually a profit of a unit. And it just shows why in the long term the system works, because that's essentially what happens. We don't have to shoot 70%. We can do the opposite and still it works. Now, when we do hit 70% like the night before, 8-2, it's just that much more flawless, of course. We're picking up a dozen units sometimes. But in this case, we had a good night. Again, maybe should start going my intuition more. They say you should never play with scared money. I really wanted to make Lakers cover Suns a leg 3. I went over that in my video. And then yesterday, I really wanted to make the Magic a leg 3. It just the line it looked really fishy. So I don't think it's a coincidence we hit leg 2, leg 3s at a higher rate. I really try and save the best plays. Now, as far as tonight, we have a lot of big spreads, and obviously they can break either way. And the fallacy, and it's not as much a fallacy, it's more, I guess, a crux that people can fall into here is, and I fall into it, I know all the big spreads aren't going to hold. So I kind of make it where, say, I got the Celtics covering, the Wizards covering, Raptors, but then I got the Rockets, right? Because I don't think all these home teams are going to just cover big spreads. But what happens is it could get flipped, and then the one that we picked doesn't cover. So going into the picks is very methodical, believe it or not. Like, there's times I will legitimately change my picks because it's breaking too much for the home teams or too much for the favorites, whatever the case may be. And if you check back, yesterday I went over the Double P in the Discord. He did point out how every home team covered, and he liked every home team to cover. But like me, he was like, I don't know, I think I'm going to pick one away team. And he would have had a 4-for-4 day. So I'm not saying it doesn't happen, but yeah, on days like this, it almost always breaks where it's like a 70-30 split at the worst. So anyway, yeah, as I said, I like the Celtics, Wizards, and Raptors to cover. The reasons being, I like the Raptors the most because that's a big spread. Like they were laying, I think it was them or a team similar was laying like 17 the other day, and it's just not. I think it was the Hawks, and it's just not a team you're gonna want to put up that many points with. So 14.5, I think people are going to take the Pistons for the upset value, and definitely the points on teasers, things like that. Tonight's going to be a teaser killer. So I like the Raptors for the cover. Celtics 11.5, I like them for the cover. I think they have to make them look strong. It's NBA TV, and I don't think it's a close game. If it was a close game at all, I would say, yeah, of course, the Pacers are going to cover, maybe play the money line. I just don't think they're positioning the Pacers that way. I think they're positioning the Bulls and other teams as the 9 and 10, not the Pacers. So, yeah, I got the Raptors covering, Celtics covering, and Wizards. I think the Wizards definitely win. Again, they need to win this game, get closer to the Bulls and Raptors. And when they win, I think it's going to be a little decisive so people can see, oh, this is a good team, like they've been doing with a lot of the teams when they have won. Now we got Rockets, Grizz. On this one, I like the Rockets cover. As I said, they're not all going to break for the favorite home teams, in my opinion. But that being also said, I do think this one's got the weakest appeal, I think, for people, just because at least with, Pacers, Celtics, you can argue the Pacers are in the playoff picture. Spurs have had a couple upsets this year, and while the Rockets have as well, I just don't think, Ja just returned. I just don't think people are going to, you might have a good bit of people on the Grizzlies, but he just returned. He just came back. It's not like he's been back and he's in a rhythm. I don't see people slamming the Grizzlies. So I think the Rockets of all these teams, these 4 so far, have the best shot of the upset. But I'll take the points, of course. Now we got Hornets, Mavs, and I like the Mavs. I know it sounds goofy. I just think they're going to not continue not covering spreads. They're right now, I think, around like 37%, which is right around the historical norm for the worst. So if they lose a couple against the spread, now they're literally going to be the worst team in 20 or so years against the spread. So I like them to cover. Bucks, I like them to cover the Jazz. As I said, I'm almost positive the Jazz lose. This is why I think we've done well in the NBA the last couple days. I've literally just been picking playoff and WWE booking that makes sense. So to me, it makes sense that the Jazz lose because you'll see some games later on that it'll make sense because of that. Because they don't have the draws that some of these other teams do. So if it comes down to do the Bucks cover, I think they will. Sixers Warriors is very interesting. I did wind up going Warriors cover because I think they want to tell a story that the Warriors are great at home, suck on the road. And also, I think they're going to make Embiid MVP. And he's not playing, from what I can tell. Like I said, ESPN is as accurate as a weatherman with their injury reports, but he looks like he's out. So I think they're going to paint them as a really bad team without Embiid, which also fits a narrative I believe Doc really can't get it done without his stars. So I think Harden's out too. So people might you might say, oh, well, Papa's going to fade the Sixers. They might, but sometimes narratives reign supreme. Bulls Blazers is my favorite game of the night. It's my Magic like last night. The Lakers the night before. Same logic. Bulls don't need this win. Matter of fact, losing makes more sense since they're 2 games ahead of the Wizards and they're 2 or 3 games ahead of the Magic. The Blazers absolutely need this win, and that's why I think them winning and the Jazz lose makes sense. They play each other pretty soon. The Blazers also play the Thunder. They also play the Wolves. The Thunder play the Jazz. They're all in the West, so they're matching up against each other at the end of the year. Makes no sense to me at all that they would have the Blazers lose and essentially knock them out of playoff contention before the Magic. It just wouldn't make sense. And again, losing actually makes more sense, in my opinion, for the Bulls. So them and the Wizards and other teams can duke it out. Then we got Suns Kings, and I like Suns for the cover, not for the win. I think this could be a win, no cover for the Kings. But I do think the Suns will cover, and they could possibly win. Kings are playing incredibly well. That being said, I think they want to start to pull the Suns and Warriors ahead of some other teams. Again, I think the Warriors and Suns are going to be the 4 and 5 seeds. I could be wrong. I just think it makes sense that they'd play each other in the first round. They're going to play each other for sure. But I have them getting in as the 4 and 5 seeds. So I think they'll win and lose together, essentially. And then finally, Thunder Lakers. And this one, I thought about Thunder on the upset value. But I think the Lakers win, to be honest. AD, again, they did this yesterday. We picked the Lakers and it worked out, or 2 days ago. They got him as doubtful. So you never know. Again, these guys lie. This was exactly what it looked like 2 days ago. I picked the Lakers anyway because I picked them for a different reason. And sure enough, AD played and he was fine. So it's just funny how, and it says at the top, if you read the titles, they'll do this all the time too. It'll say like Doncic and the Mavericks host, and Doncic is out or something. Like they do this all the time. So yeah, just don't believe these injury reports. So anyway, like I said, a lot of these games I like a good bit. You can see that and just to cover college. College is so simplified right now. So essentially, and yesterday I went 0-4 in college. So that's why we went 3-5. We did good in the NBA. I did terrible in college. So I like to be the first to admit when I don't pick well. But again, we had net profit day, and that's why I care more about the system than any individual pick. Now, San Diego State, I had them covering Alabama for a very silly reason. As I said, I genuinely think the winner is going to be red and white, red and black. They're the same colors we've been seeing. You see a lot of red, white, and blue teams. But in this case, San Diego State is red and white and blue. Alabama is red and white. If there's going to be an upset out of these 2 games, Houston and Miami and San Diego State and Alabama, I just think there's a better chance San Diego State would get the upset because I'm standing by my color theory. So anyway, I do think the favorites are going to win, but usually they don't both cover. So I'm going to take San Diego State to cover Alabama, and I'll have Houston cover Miami. I think one of these games will be a trouncing, and I think it'll be Houston. Then we got Princeton. I got them winning. Why not? We got them last round on the money line. I had explained to people that I thought I thought the money line was for the Princeton game. It was pretty appealing. It was like plus 250, and by appealing I mean not appealing, because I try and pick the lines that it looks like the public's not going to be on. I think that stands to reason. So when I see a line and Princeton, pretty big underdog, whoever they played last, I forget who it was, but we had them as a leg too, and they're not even getting 3-1. It stands to reason the public's not really going to be on them that much. So that's why I do that. That's why if a line looks really, really good, I'm probably not going to take it. But here we have Princeton getting 4-1, which is a good line, but you have to understand they're now further along in the tournament. So of course they're going to be getting better odds. They're playing a much better team. And also, ESPN had something that I thought was interesting. It basically showed, I think it was St. Peter's and last year, and it showed their record, how many points they won by. This was on ESPN. You can go on YouTube and go on their page, their community page, and it basically showed how Princeton is doing exactly what St. Peter's did. And it's like, if they win tonight, they'll repeat exactly what St. Peter's did. So they could be doing it to get the public on them, sure. Like FAU, Farley Dickinson, we knew they weren't going to win after they won the first round. But like I said, I think with upsets, they're going to keep, instead of having a couple upsets, because I wouldn't even call Xavier really an upset, to be honest. Instead of having a couple upsets, like having, Miami wins, and I think there's going to have one team that kind of makes it to the Final Four, and I think that team might be Princeton. So that's why I took them as a 4-1, and I got Xavier winning because I just got a feeling about them, to be quite honest, and I think the line was a little weird. So I did make Xavier out of the college plays just because the line looked, in my opinion, again, it looked weird. I'm going to make that a leg 2. We didn't get Arkansas yesterday, like I said. We did terrible in college, but that's why I made them all leg 1s. Luckily, we did really good in the NBA, which is what matters. What matters is the leg 2s, which happen to be NBA. So, again, San Diego State's got like that cover. I like the Houston-Princeton win. I think the win there is worth taking. Celtics, Pacers, Wizards, these are all going to be leg 1s. I made the Rockets and Mavs leg 2s because of their records against the spread. I always take that into account. When a team is 38% or something against the spread, it just stands to reason that people might fade them. So for our college leg 1 losses, I'm just plugging in our leg 2s for tonight. And then you can see I do like the Warriors a bit here. Again, I think narratives reign supreme. So I do agree people might be fading them, the Sixers without their stars. I still think they have enough good players, and the Warriors haven't proven to be good enough that people are going to be all over them. Lakers Thunder I like as a second leg, just because, again, I think it makes more sense. If I look at their schedules down the road, the Thunder should have no problem winning a couple games. And I look at this like a long-term booking, so it's not like I'm just looking at a game or two ahead. I'm trying to find the last leg 1 loss. It's been a while. Like once I close the last couple days, it's going back weeks, months, because that's what I do. I close all the open sequences we have. But anyway, with the Lakers, the reason I like tonight specifically them to win, I think they're going to lose against the Bulls, at least one of those games, maybe both of them, because Pat Bev literally made a podcast now, I think just to troll the Lakers. I really think that's the reason, but also to play damage control, and I'll go into that. I have a playlist, the Pat McAfee cover-up of the century playlist, and, not to toot my own horn, but I did predict that the NBA was going to have a guy come out, probably Pat Beverly, and make a podcast, and then he did, like a month later. And the reason I had that was I thought that might happen is because he plays the perfect anti-hero, where people aren't going to think Pat Bev here is a suit, like a walk-in suit. They're going to think whatever he's saying is unfiltered, and he's got the show with a battle rapper, Roan. So, like, these guys, they're going to come off just like Pat McAfee, like they're outsiders. Like, Draymond Green's thing didn't work, if you noticed. Nobody watched it. JJ Redick, nobody's really believing him. They got him kind of established as, a stooge, corporate media. So, yeah, I think this Pat Bev project isn't going to work either, but it'll fool enough people. But I do find it interesting. He's got a podcast now. And, of course, I think he's just going to attack the referees because that's what they do on the they blame the refs instead of admitting it's scripted. So our only leg three here is the Blazers beating the Bulls, just because I really like the play. I just don't see them losing. I think they definitely win, and because of narratives, I'm going to take the money line and just not the points. But yeah, that's our only leg three, and I know it's a little redundant and tedious, but I just like to show you guys that that's literally all I do is I just plug in. For like yesterday, I plugged in Magic, bam, they won, and Warriors. So these are all to be determined, of course, but that's all I do. I just plug in our leg twos or leg threes, and the only play that isn't basketball is the Sabres. I like it as a leg two. I like them to win. I just looked at the lines, and I think it's the most appealing one. So it's nothing crazy, but just kind of we had 10, so we'll make it 11. So if you wanted to play hockey, we got 3 games. I just like this one. So I like the upside of it. Sabres to win. I like it as a leg two. I'm playing it as a leg two, but you can play it as whatever you want. But I just show people this so they can so I can literally honestly say, and I'm the only channel that can make this claim, and we're the only channel I should say, because it's definitely a movement that if you just copy and pasted every single pick that I've done, if you just went through my playlist and just followed every video. You're up it's about 130 units. But my point is, that's all it is. That's the reason I'll take the extra few minutes to literally, type in and copy and paste my picks, because I just like to be transparent and like the people see all of our wins and losses. And you can see we've had a healthy amount of losses, over 53 leg losses. But it's just the mathematics that winds up always bearing true. So I think we have a good night. Just wanted to show everybody that. And like I said, outside of the one Blazers win, the rest are going to be leg twos and as I just showed you, and leg ones. So take care and happy earnings. Yeah, it was a good battle. If you guys didn't see it, stay forever. It was a rap battle, and it was a good battle. I like battle rap. I think it's real fun to watch. It's more entertaining than these guys trying to talk shit about each other, and they can't even keep a straight face. And battle rap, you can kind of tell that's scripted too, but it's cool the way they put it together. But yeah, it's cool. If you like sports, I think you might be into that. It's competitive and it's cool. I just like to bring things up as they pop into my head. But yeah, so take care and happy earnings.